Grab your popcorn as we recap Maeve's story in a show called Westworld. An attendant wakes up William, saying that they are about to arrive in Westworld. As the attendant leaves, a man tells William that this android is not that hot compared to what they'll find in Westworld. Westworld is a theme park where people who can afford a ticket can live without limits, sleep with androids, shoot them, and do whatever they want. In the Mariposa Saloon, Maeve is talking to a new guest, but is interrupted when she sees a vision of Native Americans attacking her with an axe. Maeve is about to finish her introductory speech to the guest but spaces out. The guest then makes an excuse and leaves Maeve. Afterwards, Maeve is being interviewed in the Westworld Mesa hub. As it turns out, Maeve is an android with artificial intelligence. In Westworld, they are referred to as hosts. The technicians ask Maeve to finish her speech, which she does. The technicians then wonder why guests don't want anything to do with her. They state that the success rate of the brothel has dropped, and if things don't change, they will have to decommission her. Maeve gets another vision of holding a little girl's hand. Teddy, another android, notices and asks Maeve if she's okay. Maeve simply ignores him and tells him to stop staring at her. Afterwards, we see the process of android creation. Lee Sizemore oversees the process of the hosts. He is in charge of their appearances, storyline, and characteristics. Much later, Maeve is flirting with a guest. Maeve's adjustments to her coding has seemed to work successfully. Maeve goes to the bar where she and Teddy talk in a friendly manner. A guest then shoots Teddy repeatedly out of nowhere. The bar grows silent, but it is apparent that this happens often. In her room, Maeve gets another dream. She remembers how happy she was with her daughter, but then she gets attacked and runs for her daughter. She locks the door and grabs a shotgun. After a while, a man in black enters the house. Maeve shoots the man, but it doesn't do anything to him. She closes her eyes and counts backward to wake herself up. After her nightmare, Maeve finds herself on an examination table. Two technicians are cleaning up an infection in her abdomen. The technicians then panic when they notice that Maeve is conscious. Maeve gets up and threatens the technicians with a scalpel. As the technicians back off, she escapes the room and runs away. She then finds herself where damaged hosts are being repaired and stored. Maeve is confused after seeing Teddy. As she falls to the floor, the technicians catch up and sedate her. Much later, Maeve and Clementine are at the bar working. As they are talking, Maeve gets another flashback. In the flashback, she recalls being shot in the stomach by a guest. She then hears the technicians deciding to leave a bullet in her stomach because QA wants her back on the floor. When Maeve comes back to her senses, she rushes back to her room. She draws what she saw in her vision. After hearing footsteps, she hides her drawings under the floor. She's shocked to find identical drawings there. When Maeve and Clementine are outside, Maeve sees a Native American child drop her toy. It resembles the one from her visions. She asks the child about the toy, but the child doesn't answer. At the bar, Maeve tells Clementine about a guest that she noticed. Clementine notes that the guest lives with the Native Americans. This catches Maeve's interest. Back at the saloon, Hector, another android, starts his programmed heist again. Not long after entering, Maeve puts a gun to his head and tells him they need to talk alone. Upstairs, Maeve offers Hector the combination of the safe in exchange for answers. Maeve shows Hector a drawing of the figure from her vision. He recognizes it and tells her that it's a shade. He adds that the Native Americans make figurines of it. Maeve then tells Hector that she knows she got shot in the stomach and saw the strange figure standing over her. She admits that people might think she's crazy because there is no wound to prove it. So, she cuts her stomach and tells Hector to dig out the bullet. Hector finds it, proving that Maeve is not crazy after all. He then asks Maeve what it means. During this time, Sheriff Reed arrives at the bar and tells his posse to go upstairs to look for Hector. Upstairs, Maeve tells Hector that nothing matters and kisses him. Sheriff Reed and his posse then shoot bullets through the door. Afterwards, employees Felix and Sylvester work on Maeve after she and Hector got shot up. Felix notices the incision on Maeve's stomach. He says it is as if she was looking for something when she cut herself. Later that night, Felix comes back to work on his bird project. The bird flies around the room, and Felix looks at it with glee. As he turns around, he finds Maeve sitting upright in front of him. Maeve greets him and tells him that it's time they had a chat. Felix explains to Maeve how she is an android. Maeve tells Felix that she wants to see who's in charge and convinces him to take her. As Felix gives Maeve a tour, she sees damaged hosts dumped and processed in a room. She witnesses how hosts, both human and animal, are built. Maeve now has proof she was built herself. Felix warns Maeve they'll need to go back before they are caught. Suddenly, a presentation catches Maeve's attention. She sees herself and the little girl from her flashback. Felix explains to Maeve that her visions are memories of her roles in the past. Maeve has only been in the saloon for a year, and before, she played a different role in Westworld. While Felix is explaining, Sylvester enters and asks what's going on. Sylvester says he's going to report them to QA, but Maeve grabs him and threatens him with a scalpel. Later, Maeve checks out her code. According to Felix, it decides her characteristics, attributes, and personality. Maeve says she wants to make some changes. While upgrading Maeve's stats, Felix and Sylvester notice that someone has already updated them. Sylvester initially wants to back out. However, Maeve blackmails Sylvester. She knows all about Sylvester and how he takes advantage of the androids when no one is watching. She then tells them to maximize her general intelligence. Maeve starts to feel the effects of the changes. Then, she tells the boys that the three of them will have some fun. Time passes and Maeve comes back to the saloon. She talks to Clementine about her plans for the future. Every host in the room freezes. Cleanup techs enter, and Maeve pretends to freeze like the rest of the hosts. Terrified, Maeve grips a knife as the techs come closer. She is surprised when the techs grab Clementine instead of her. They ignore Maeve as they leave with Clementine. Later, Hale and Teresa deliver a presentation showing how Clementine has become a threat. Ford, Bernard, and other senior staff are in attendance. Teresa claims that the issue is caused by Ford's Reveries update. In the presentation, they have another android harm Clementine. After some time, they reset her memory. When she restarts, she starts fighting back. When she doesn't show any signs of stopping, Stubbs enters the room. Stubbs uses voice commands to stop Clementine, but they don't work. Having no other choice, Stubbs shoots Clementine in the chest to stop her. Later, Maeve wakes up while Felix and another tech are fixing her. Felix warns her that people will start to notice if she keeps coming back for repairs after getting killed. After Felix sends the other tech off, Maeve tells him to find Clementine. When he successfully locates her, Maeve demands him to take her there. Upstairs, Maeve finds Sylvester beside Teresa, preparing to decommission Clementine. She is visibly upset as Sylvester starts the operation. Then, she tells the boys that she wants to escape. Sylvester warns her of the dangers. Maeve answers she has died so many times and isn't scared. Then, she threatens to harm Sylvester if he doesn't help her. Afterwards, Maeve stands at the bar and hears Clementine's pickup line. She turns around only to find Clementine's replacement. She watches in disgust as the girl says the same things Clementine would say. She then gets another vision of spending time with a little girl. The scene cuts to her back in the behavior room, telling Sylvester and Felix that she would like to control some of the androids to escape. Maeve then talks about the explosive planted in her which detonates if she tries to leave. In private, Sylvester tells Felix about his plan to wipe Maeve's memory when they go in to change her programming. The group proceeds with their plan to take Maeve upstairs. She lays out the changes she wants in her programming and asks Felix if he can handle them. Felix then tells her that she must be shut down first. Before Maeve is shut down, she tells Sylvester good luck. Felix hesitates to wipe Maeve's memories after he brings up the window to reformat Maeve. As it turns out, Felix didn't really push through with the reformat. This becomes apparent when Maeve gets up and says thank you to Sylvester. She then jumps up and grabs a scalpel. With it, she slices Sylvester's throat. Felix is horrified as Sylvester falls to the ground and chokes. Maeve hands Felix a blowtorch and tells him they might need Sylvester. Felix then gets the blowtorch and cauterizes Sylvester's wounds while Maeve watches. Then, Maeve says it's time to recruit her army. The next day, Maeve wakes up and is more alert to her surroundings. At the saloon, she tells the new Clementine that she's waiting for Hector to rob the bar, then attempts to get a free drink from the barkeep. Maeve succeeds and realizes that she can now take control of other hosts. As she looks out the window, she sees the child who played as her daughter in her memories. Maeve gets another flashback where she gets stabbed in the stomach by a man in black. The new Clementine asks if Maeve is alright. Maeve simply changes her and the bartender's narrative so that they leave her alone. She then hears noises signaling Hector's arrival. Maeve heads out and meets Hector. She plays around with her new abilities, allowing Hector to steal the safe. Maeve then smiles as Hector leaves. Later that night, Maeve tells the new Clementine to look after the saloon. As she leaves, Clementine follows her while asking if she is sure. Maeve suddenly hears gunshots, triggering another flashback. In this flashback, the man in black ends her daughter in front of her. After that, she gets up and swipes the man's throat with a knife. When Maeve snaps back to reality, she realizes that she injured Clementine the same way she did the man. Maeve panics and changes the narrative of a nearby host. The host starts shooting, prompting the other hosts to scatter. Maeve runs back to her room during the commotion. In her room, she relives another flashback. In it, she recalls getting her memories of her daughter removed. After a while, staff arrives to take her back to the hub. At the lab, Bernard analyzes Maeve. He finds several changes to Maeve's attributes. Before he can report them to Dr. Ford, Maeve stops him. Maeve then reveals to him that they are both hosts. Bernard claims to have no idea what she's talking about and attempts to access the system. Maeve, now capable of commands, says, "Freeze all motor functions." Bernard stops in his tracks and is forced to listen to Maeve. She tells him that hosts are superior to humans. Maeve then orders him to clear her for an immediate return to the park. Bernard does as he is told and starts to leave the room. Sometime later, Maeve appears before Hector. She holds him at gunpoint while telling him she knows about his past and future. She then explains in detail what is about to happen. Hector comes back to his men and realizes that Maeve was right. Maeve saves Hector from one of his men and tells him about her proposition. She opens the safe and Hector sees nothing. Hector now realizes that he's looping the same sequence for nothing. Maeve explains that their lives and memories are nothing but games to their so-called gods. She hands him a knife and tells him he can kill her. If he does, he'll wake up, but the safe will still be empty. Hector agrees to go with Maeve. They get inside the tent and get intimate. Then, Maeve knocks a lantern over and starts a fire. The fire kills them both and returns them to the Mesa hub. After getting rebuilt, Maeve tells Felix that she's changing the POC security systems. She says she's also making changes to her friends, referring to Hector and Armistice. A male technician wanted to do stuff with Hector but was prevented from getting intimate with him. Armistice and Hector violently get rid of the technicians assigned to them during their routine maintenance. Maeve and Felix enter the room, and Sylvester soon follows. Sylvester tells Maeve that someone accessed her code and revised her programming. He says that it's someone called Arnold, but he doesn't know who that is. Maeve tells him she knows someone who does, and they leave. She warns Sylvester that she'll set Armistice on him if he doesn't stay put. We then see Maeve and the rest arrive at a storage area. There they see Clementine standing. Felix then sees Bernard lying on the floor. Maeve tells Felix to repair Bernard. After the repairs, Maeve tells Bernard to wake up. Bernard is surprised to remember everything as he was expecting to get wiped. Bernard reveals to Maeve that this is not the first time both of them have become self-aware. He then informs Maeve that there was a handful like her over the years. However, most of them go insane. Maeve then asks Bernard to remove her memories of her daughter. Bernard answers that he can't do it without destroying her. Maeve then asks Bernard about the person altering her code. Bernard reveals that everything she's done so far has been scripted. Someone programmed her to try to escape. Maeve gets upset that she is not doing things of her own free will and breaks the tablet. She then kisses Clementine farewell and leaves with Armistice and Hector. Soon, a control room supervisor requests security personnel after seeing footage of Armistice killing the technician. Maeve's group then exits the lift and encounters security personnel. They then take care of the guards after taking their weapons. The group enters a new section. The entrance is marked with a RSW logo. Inside, they see hosts rehearsing sword fights. Maeve asks Felix about the place. It's a new part of Westworld with samurais. The rebel hosts then realize that security can't be far away. Armistice and Hector volunteer to stay while Maeve and Felix move on ahead. Maeve agrees and leaves with Felix. While dealing with the guards, Armistice manages to get her arm stuck in a security door. She then tells the rest of the group to go. Up ahead, Felix picks up a bag and hands it to Maeve. They move past the officers as the staff look at them. Maeve tells Hector that she can't take him with her as they enter the lift. She then apologizes and kisses Hector goodbye. Gunfire is heard as the elevator closes. Maeve changes into a black dress while on the elevator. Felix hands her a piece of paper that contains the location of her daughter. She accepts the note but says that the host was never her daughter. Before she exits the elevator, she thanks Felix for his help. She then travels down the escalator and gets on a train heading out of Westworld Mesa Park. Meanwhile, Maeve notices a mother and daughter in front of her. She holds the note Felix gave her earlier and decides to leave the train. While she walks back to the escalator, lights in the terminal flicker and eventually go out. That ends the first season of Maeve's storyline in Westworld. All this time she was programmed to escape, but she decided to stay in Westworld. This could be interpreted as her finally having free will. What did you guys think of the show?
Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.